He also opens their ears to instruction and discipline. Once again, suffering, opening up our ears, making us sensitive to God's voice, and commands them that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasantness and joy. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword of God's destructive judgments, and they shall die in ignorance of true knowledge. So die without knowledge can be understood as dying without ever understanding why God allowed their suffering. Not because he was silent, but because they resisted his discipline instead of humbling themselves. Elihu's argument is clear. God uses affliction to teach, correct, and refine. Those who respond with humility and obedience receive insight, restoration, and blessing, while those who harden their hearts refuse to learn and miss the purpose of their suffering. Thus, to die without knowledge is to die in spiritual ignorance, not because the opportunity for revelation wasn't given, but because it was rejected. My God. So, God is speaking to us in many different ways. And if we submit, God will give us understanding of why we had to go through certain things. Remember, Joseph was able to forgive his brothers, and he says it because God gave him perspective and grace, because he said he realized that he went through all he went through to save Israel. Now, had Joseph rejected the suffering that he went through, he would have died without knowledge. God would have delivered Israel some other way, and Joseph would have never known that God took him through that pathway to save Israel because of that famine. He would have died without knowledge. God is not just taking us through and not giving us and showing us and giving us perspective for us. We saw that Paul said that they had the sentence of death and that they were the spirit of life, so that they wouldn't rely on themselves. God doesn't just take you through without giving you perspective and understanding. He gives you not just perspective and understanding, but as when David was pleading to God, he was like, please forgive me that so I can teach transgressors your way. David understood that God taking him through, gave him an opportunity to warn others. God is taking us through not just for ourselves now, but so that we can help someone else, because he's given us perspective, he's given us understanding, so we have knowledge and so we can help others. But if we don't yield, we will die without knowledge. God is trying to teach us manifold lessons not just for us, lessons for others, lessons for our children, because in Deuteronomy 6 it said you need to give your testimonies to your children and tell them why you serve me, because it is our righteousness, because he took us through the Red Sea, because he brought us out of the land of Egypt. God is trying to teach and train and talk to us all the time, but we don't hear. And so sometimes he has to let us go on a bed of affliction, whether physical or whether metaphorical or physical. Sometimes it's only on that bed of affliction we'll listen. He's not just trying to bring us through without any knowledge. He wants us to have an understanding. He wants to give us perspective.